My name is Arianne Phillips and I'm a costume designer. How did I come to costume design? Well, it's been a real twisty road for me. It hasn't been a traditional road of working in the different areas of the costume department like a lot of my peers and my colleagues. For me, I started in fashion and I was working with a lot of different musicians in New York in the 80s. And at the time I was working at the beginning of my career a lot with Lenny Kravitz. And Lenny and I kind of started in the business together. We met through mutual friends. And when he was recording his first record, he said, "Oh, I'd love you to be my stylist." And I had been working as a fashion stylist in different capacities, doing music videos and such. So I started working with Lenny, and there's a consistency there where we did a lot of music videos on his first album, Let Love Rule. And I was really fascinated by the mashup of music, narrative in film, and in this case, music videos, a moving camera as opposed to still photography. And music videos, there's a couple different kinds of music videos. There's a performance-based video where you see the artist singing a song into the microphone with the band, or there's a narrative video where you see the song actually acted out. Like there's a story to the song and you see people portraying different roles. So as I started working on music videos and we're dressing characters in these videos for different reasons, not just to look hot and sexy like a rock star, but maybe there's a mailman, or maybe there was an older couple having an argument, or whatever, different people, different kinds of people that were helped telling these little mini short films that we called music videos. And it really struck a chord with me, and I loved being part of the storytelling process. And I thought, I've always been really interested in film, and actually I was a film major in college, and something resonated for me, and I thought, I really feel like, designing costumes, working in costumes is calling to me on a deep level. And I just started focusing more and more on music videos, and at that time there were a lot of directors that were pursuing film, and I kind of came up the ranks that way with a generation of these kind of 80s video directors, and kind of one step in front of the other. I had some friends that I knew from college who were making a short film, and they asked me if I wanted to do the costumes, and I just kind of learned kind of trial by fire, like just figuring it out as I went. And only until years later, when I got my first opportunity in New York to do a film, a small independent downtown film, did I have the opportunity to kind of wear every hat on the film set, where I was not only a costume designer, but I was running the set, and I had a friend who was working with me, and we were kind of doing everything. We were making the costumes, we were aging and dyeing them. So I really got to kind of learn, I guess as fear is a great motivator, that I knew that I had to figure it out. One of the most challenging things about being the costume designer for Kingsman, the Secret Service, is that not only do these secret spies, these gentlemen elite British spies, have to look perfect, they also have to do incredible stunts and action sequences. So we had just a massive team of stuntmen and multiple stuntmen for each actor, people that specialize in different things, and people were wired, and high falls, and all kinds of stuff. So that the practical side of filmmaking is always a real challenge, especially when the costume has to look very presentational and pristine. So lucky for me, I had a really great crew that I worked with, and helping not only make sure that the hero costumes on the lead actors looked perfect at all times, but that there was this continuity in the stunt sequences, and that we had to create suits where there are certain stretch panels and vents and different things so that they could move and be agile and do their stunts and still look great. So lots of movie magic. I think the best part of being a costume designer is the journey that we get to go on and with research and delve into different cultures and different time periods and different kinds of people. all over the world, people from different eras, stories. You know, film is storytelling. And as a costume designer, our job is to research and create kind of our own backstory for the costumes and help figure out what that character's about, what motivates them, and kind of underscore everything from the emotional tone of the film to reflect the, you know, the economic, the geographical, all kinds of aspects of the story can be reflected in the costumes, from color to silhouette to feeling. So the research part is crucial. You know, it's the quiet time, it's the time of studying and just becoming fluent in the story and fluent in who these characters are. Because the thing is it's great to have abstract ideas, but they need to be based, for me, in a reality. If you're telling a story, even if it's a fantasy story, a story based in science fiction that isn't based in reality, to create some kind of foundation of research of why these characters would wear these costumes, not just because they look great. Which can be an aspect as well. You get to discover that and figure that out in the research process. And, you know, it's fantastic. We can utilize, you know, anything's game. We have, you know, I use everything from art to architecture to documentary films to, of course, the internet is a huge tool, to walking down the street with my camera and taking pictures of people. You know, all kinds of things. I actually use my phone as my notebook these days and compile a lot of my research and store my research digitally. So, you know, and it's always great to do historical research or biographical research. I'm working on, like the movie I did, Walk the Line, about Johnny Cash, you know, lots of biographical research and geographical, where Johnny Cash lived, when the story took place and why, and maybe, you know, you get clues of maybe how or why people lived, which can just be another texture and a layer in the costumes. So people ask me all the time about my process, and you know, the great thing about being a costume designer is every day is different, and it's no day is kind of the same. I mean, I have a system for the way that I work. I have a way that I do my presentations, you know, on the computer, or collages, or the way that maybe I drape a muslin, or, you know, I have like some tools that I use, be it digital tools or physical tools. But there's never really, you know, I may start out a project going down a road doing research a certain way, but inevitably the film will take me a different direction. And I think one of the biggest things I tell people when they're interested in not just being a costume designer, but working in the film business, is flexibility and being open and being a sponge and being willing to take in knowledge and research and listen to other people's ways of doing things. I think, you know, it's a collaborative business, and, you know, if you want to be a writer or painter solitary in a room, then that would be best for you. But I think the beauty of filmmaking and being part of a crew of filmmakers is the conversation we have with each other, the different department heads, the director, of course, and the actors, and the evolution of a story. And as we get deeper and deeper into our process, in the research process or while we're shooting, and we all become more proficient in the story that we're telling together, you know, the way that we do our research or the way that we do our job can often, I find for me, changes from the people I'm collaborating with in the story that I'm working on. Oftentimes people ask, you know, what was your favorite costume? What was the hardest costume? What was your most challenging costume? And I find it really hard to answer those questions because, you know, I think being a costume designer is kind of like childbirth. It can be very challenging and very grueling at times, but then when it's over, you forget and you want to do it all over again. There are so many great rewards. But I would say a costume that stands out for me is a recent costume that I did, actually not for a film, but for Madonna's world tour, the Rebel Heart tour. This is my 6th tour with her. I've worked with her for 18 years and done 6 tours, which has been amazing. And this particular tour, the opening, she wanted a very strong opening, and we had this kind of mashup of a spiritual warrior meets samurai. We had all these different influences, and I had to create a costume for her that would change from song to song without her leaving the stage. So it was kind of like one of those Russian dolls where there's layers and layers. And I found that to be a really big logistical challenge, and also to, working on costumes for a live performance can be really challenging because of the way the costume has to work 3-dimensionally and has to move with dancing and singing, and there's all kinds of things for a performer on stage where they have to have a mic pack, and they have to have comfortable footwear where they can do the choreography, and the costumes have to all the layers of the costumes. Madonna's costume's underdressed. In the first act, she has 4 costumes in one, and they all have to work beautifully like layers. So I found it really challenging and infuriating at times to try and keep it looking beautiful. And we finally pulled it off after a lot of trial and error and a long rehearsal process. And I'm particularly proud of it, not only because I think it turned out well, and we did a lot of hand painting and Swarovski embellishment and a lot of really beautiful things about the costume itself, but then it also works on a logistical side. And we were able to deal with technical challenges and dancing and all that stuff. So I'm really particularly proud of that costume. My best advice to aspiring costume designers is flexibility, perseverance, and curiosity. I think those are the ingredients for digging deep, which is what we're asked to do every day as a costume designer, not only at the workplace, but there's so many aspects to this job. There's a lot of people management. You work with a team of people collaboratively, and you have to be able to express your aesthetic ideas, which can be very hard if you have something in your head that and to be able to articulate that. I think it's really important to be flexible because your idea, as a costume designer, you are expediting the director's vision and hopefully building upon that and bringing ideas to the plate. But you have to have flexibility because things change and evolve and move, and there's lots of practical things that can go against your great concept of your costume, from weather to an actor that that doesn't maybe enjoy your costume or understand it. There's all kinds of flexibility. Curiosity, that's the research part. Who is this character? How can this costume help define who this person is, where they're going, where they are, where they've been? So curiosity is really important. And perseverance, keep moving forward. Not every experience is rewarding and life-changing, but you have to keep pushing, and sometimes the job, like any job, can feel monotonous at times, or that you're repeating yourself, but you have to persevere and know that it just takes one experience to ignite some kind of incredible creative experience within yourself or collaboration. And all kinds of magic can happen when you keep, when you're flexible, curious, and persevere.